Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. My ex-husband passed away. I'm to inherit everything, and his girlfriend that he left me for is trying to contest his will. Plus, little update. I feel terrible and I don't know if I'm entitled to his money, but I can't deny that I'm tempted. Not only because it was his wish, but also because I don't want to say no to this amount of money, around 1.3 million euros. My ex-husband, male 48, came to me, female 44, one day and told me that he was leaving me. This was about 8 years ago, and I was 4 months pregnant with our first child. I can't describe the hurt and confusion I was feeling. He didn't even give me any reason. I thought we were soulmates and we were married for 10 years. I didn't see it coming at all. I tried to reason with him, but he was decided and he moved out within a week. A week later, his lawyer sent me a letter to move from the apartment. I found out a couple of weeks later that he had met someone, female 33, and that's why he was divorcing me and buying me out of our apartment. He never spoke to me until I had a late miscarriage 2 months after, not blaming him. He texted me that he wanted to see me and talk. I didn't reply. He tried to reach out a few times more, but I never answered him. When I met my current husband, male 42, he stopped trying to contact me. Now I'm happily married with 2 children, female 5 and male 3. About 6 months ago, I heard that he was terminally ill. I felt sad for him, of course, but I refused to go and see him as his last wish. This haunts me now that I know what he's done. His parents tried to get me to visit him, but I refused. What do you say to someone who hurt you this bad after all these years? Does him dying make it less hurtful? Does it make me forget my resentment? I didn't want to find out. Now his will stated that I'm getting the majority of his estate. His parents get a generous amount for their retirement, and his nephew gets money for college. But other than that, I get everything else including the apartment. He had a letter where he told me he was sorry about everything. He never stopped loving or thinking of me. In his mind, I was still his wife. He never got over the loss of our baby and felt responsible for it. He seemed really remorseful and he seemed to have followed my life closely. He knew who my husband was, my children, their names, my current job. I appreciate the letter, but it made me feel so guilty that I didn't give him his last wish. My ex-in-laws are now asking me to be fair and share the inheritance with his girlfriend, or she would be on the street. Since she met him, she had dropped college and never worked a day in her life, and she has nothing to her name. The girlfriend is threatening to contest the will, says that I have used and mistreated him and his trust, that I have manipulated him to give me everything, and that she won't leave her home. I don't know what to do. I don't feel that she's entitled to my money. And even if her existence doesn't hurt me anymore, I still hate her. She's 33, and I don't feel that I have obligation to provide for her. Also, isn't it disrespectful to go against my ex-husband's wishes? Now for the top advice before reading the little update. His parents got a generous amount. My ex-in-laws are now asking me to be fair and share the inheritance with his girlfriend or she would be on the street. Why don't they just share their generous amount with the girlfriend since they care so much about her? That's what my ex-husband's lawyer said when I told him about his family's request. Your ex had 8 years to change his mind about your inclusion in his will. He knew he was dying. If he had wanted his girlfriend to get something, he would have changed his will. He obviously didn't want her to get a penny. Do what his lawyer suggests. His lawyer is the one who knew what your ex-husband wanted. If you truly want to honor his memory and wishes, take the money he left you and live a wonderful life full of love. That is what would make him happiest. Block his parents. If they want to support the girlfriend, that's on them. Exactly. Sounds like the ex deeply regretted that choice and felt manipulated by the mistress girlfriend. Him not including her and revealing how he felt about OP and his regret suggests he felt resentful of the girlfriend. OP doesn't owe her anything, and it's the deceased man's decision who his money goes to. She can contest, but good luck in proving it in court. Plus, if she's too broke to even survive, how can she afford a lawyer? This is a genuinely good point. She can scream all she wants, but the wishes are in writing. OP has not manipulated anyone since she has been out of contact for years, and this inheritance is owed to her in his will. Nothing the girlfriend can do will change that. OP should offer the ex-in-laws an option to buy out the apartment. Since they want to help girlfriend so bad, that shouldn't be a problem. I don't think they can afford to buy the apartment. Then next best thing, allow her enough time to get a job, save up a deposit, and move out so you can sell it. About 6 months seems fair if you can swing it. This is her problem, not yours. She can find a job and a place to rent. Or I don't know, find someone else's home to wreck and live off that guy, since that's her thing. Either way, she's got a GTFO of your apartment. There is a comment somewhere here that the OP was told by her ex's lawyer that the ex prepaid for a 1-year lease on another apartment for the girlfriend, and she was not allowed access to the old apartment in case she stole items from there or damaged it. Obviously, the ex knew the girlfriend was a gold digger. Edit/update. You guys have given me a lot to think about, and I thank every one of you. Many have asked me if I was doing this because I hated the girlfriend because of our past, and if that hatred has clouded my judgment. Thank you for giving me this to think about. I instead asked myself if the girlfriend wasn't the one I had a history with, if it was just a random innocent woman he met later. Would I feel that she's entitled to the money he left me? My answer was still no, so now I'm pretty sure of my decision. I'm happy that it wasn't based on hate or resentment as I originally thought and felt guilty about. I believe whatever he's left me for whatever reason is mine, and therefore nobody is entitled to it. Thank you so much for helping me reach this conclusion. Next story. Wife was leaving me for someone else and he just died. Back in March, I, 33 male, found out my wife, 30 female, was having an affair after 15 years of being together. Completely broke my heart. I wanted a divorce originally, but opted to see if we could work on things. Our version of work on things is always to move past things and pretend they never happened. Obviously not healthy, and I wish looking back we did something differently. Couples therapy, communicate better, and so on. From March to August, things were okay. We pretended like it never happened, and since we never truly dealt with it, you could tell things were off, even though we continued to put a smile on our faces. In August, she admitted that she still had feelings for this other guy. August to December, we continued to live together, but we were growing apart. She was texting the other guy, though claiming that she was not. She wanted a divorce, but I was not ready to want that, though deep down I knew that there was no way our relationship could ever return to normal. I was holding out for how things were in the past. She was prepared to begin moving on with her life, but also was trying to be there for me as I grieved, which in hindsight probably gave me some false hope. I had finally come to grips with things over the past 2 weeks. A lot of therapy and talking to friends got me to a point where, though I didn't want to lose my best friend, I understood it had to be over for everyone's sake. My wife was planning on moving forward with the guy she had the affair with. He lived out of state, but he eventually intended to move here so that they could be together. I knew it would be a tough transition for me, but I was slowly ready to do it and began working on bettering myself for my future. Job promotion, therapy, lost 25 pounds, quitting alcohol, and getting a gym membership, etc. The other day, I found out he unexpectedly passed away. I had always hoped that they would not remain together out of pure selfish spite, but now seeing how broken my soon-to-be ex-wife is, I am completely devastated for her. I'm devastated that my marriage is over, but also devastated that her whole life is forever changed. I'm devastated that a person lost his life at a young age, regardless that he had a hand in my marriage ending. No one deserves that to happen. And as much as I wanted to hate this guy, he did seem like a good person otherwise, as crazy as that sounds. I can't even come to grips that this has happened to me, to her, to this guy. It feels like no one is winning or coming out better in the end here. It seems like nothing but sadness for everyone involved. I've tried talking to friends and my therapist, but I can't make sense of any of this anymore. People have told me I should cut off my ex and let her grieve, but she's been my closest friend for a decade and a half. Regardless of our marriage ending, I can't imagine not being there for her. I was finally getting to a place where I could see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel of my marriage being over, but now I just see a long road of everyone grieving for so many reasons, and everyone being changed forever, probably in a negative way, because of this. Edit, I just want to add, for those that are stating I should still move forward with the divorce, you can be sure that my intention is to do just that. I am not looking at this as an opportunity to be her second choice now. Edit 2, for those asking how he died, I would prefer to not go into details out of respect for any family or friend of his that may also be on Reddit, so as to not give away anyone's identity. You're suffering from ambiguous loss, I encourage you to explore this concept. While your ex-wife is suffering from actual loss, you're mourning someone who is still very much with us, and she isn't mourning you. Spending time apart and allowing yourself to go through the stages are going to be paramount to your future happiness. Denial and depression are going to be mountains to climb, but you're smart and you got a support system, therapy, and friends. Lean on your support system just like you've let others lean on you. You can climb this. I did. Many of us have been here. How you heal from it says more about you than any defining characteristic from your 15-year relationship. Avoid things that trigger you. Reconnect with the things you loved to do before you were in a relationship. Find that dude again. I bet he's a great guy. If my experience is anything to learn from, that support is typically a mirage unless the bond was strong or legally obligated. The only person you can always count on to show up is yourself. Anyone else who does, well, that's just gravy. All the best and good luck. Continue with the divorce. Don't settle for being second best. That guy may be gone, but there are plenty of others out there, and if she cheated once, she'll do it again. This grief doesn't suddenly make a bad person a good person. You keep saying best friend, but best friends don't betray each other. If you try to hang on to the marriage, you will simply go through this again later. Yeah, OP's soon-to-be ex-wife is not even worthy to be called a friend. Just look forward, OP. Don't agree with this take, we only know the infidelity. I do think OP should go no contact and recover and move on first and foremost. But if feels it in his heart to still be there and support this person he has 15 years of history with, who are we besides random internet weirdos? That said, strongly suggest separating and focusing on you first, OP. This is a sad time for her, yes, but you both still need to find your own way. Knowing about the infidelity is more than enough though. It wasn't an emotional affair. It wasn't a platonic relationship. She straight up banged another guy and got emotionally attached to him, all while staying with OP for added emotional and financial support, keeping things hidden as to not screw her support ring up. If you can betray someone who has been with you for 15 years, you automatically lose all chance to get some sympathy. She didn't say she was falling out of love to allow OP to sort himself out. She didn't make OP a part of her sexual discovery if this was it. She completely went behind his back knowing it was wrong, and then went wrong all the way. Relationships, including friendship, are based on trust. How can you ever trust this person again? Being beside them for 15 years wasn't enough to make her think twice about what she was doing, so I'd wager nothing will. OP's emotional responsibility ended as soon as she gave zero care about stabbing him in the back. Good riddance. I agree with you completely. Just because the guy she was banging behind her husband's back died, doesn't put her in any kind of good light. She's still a piece of trash and deserves no emotional support from the husband. I have no idea why OP has the stomach to even give her sympathy and feel bad for her or the guy. Now for the last story. My husband got our girlfriend pregnant without discussing it with me. My husband, 38 male, and I, 30 female, are in an open marriage. We've been married for 5 years and open for the past 2 years. Currently, we have a long-term girlfriend, 26 female, that we have both been with for just over a year. I'm also 30 weeks pregnant, and we're also excited to welcome our daughter into the world soon. Our relationship and time in the bedroom has never been better until the other day when our girlfriend announced her pregnancy to us. I was so surprised, I didn't know she had been seeing anyone else. After I congratulated her, I asked who was the father, and she said that my husband was. This was something that we never talked about at all, so I politely asked her to leave while I discussed this with my husband. Apparently, her seeing me pregnant and so excited convinced her that she was ready for motherhood herself, and she told my husband that she would be stopping her birth control. My husband never told this to me, and neither did our girlfriend. So, the entire time we've been together for the past few months, they were having completely unprotected sessions without my knowledge, which was not part of our arrangement. I'm still his wife and she's just our girlfriend. I feel so betrayed by my husband to go behind my back like that. They don't understand why I'm mad, they think that I should be happy. I was aware that my husband has a breeding fetish. So do I, but this is much different than just role-playing situations, and they don't seem to understand that. I don't know how else to express to them how disrespectful that was to me. Edit, we had a written agreement that birth control is to be used with our partners. We even discussed in that same written agreement that any pregnancies would not continue if it were to fail, but this was intentional and non-consensual. Now for OP's trashing. Hope you both have a child support fetish. You made me laugh too hard and my cat woke up. 3 hours later, somewhere else in the world, another cat named Dolly has been rudely awakened by my laughter. Off to go soothe her with some temptations now. I'm still his wife and she's just our girlfriend. I have some unpleasant news for you. Right, she's just our girlfriend. I'm pregnant and I know my husband has a breeding fetish. We are polyamorous and have regular unprotected activities. But how could I have seen this coming? They're a bunch of morons. Good Lord, they're producing more morons. Sweet Jesus, when I think my life is in a mess, I come here to comfort myself. My depression about my life has been cured today after reading this. I know the feeling. When you read something like this, you realize that you actually don't have any significant problems. Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. I think my girlfriend has been trying to get me fired from all my jobs. I'm shaken, please help me. Original post. I'm male 24 and I've been with girlfriend, female 29, let's call her Janice, for 2.5 years. I just finished my education when we started dating, and I have been doing all sorts of jobs since. Sometimes 2 at a time. I did this to expand my resume and gather job experience. I worked in cafes, bookstores, a library, a grocery store, and as an English tutor. Most of those jobs lasted about 3 to 5 months. My shortest stay was 2.5 weeks, my longest 8 months. But since I didn't have a hard time applying for new positions, I tried to block it out, though it was kind of eating me up internally. People called to complain about me. People left bad reviews about me. People used my employee Wi-Fi access to look up sketchy things on the internet under my name. Former employees called to inform them about me, right name and all. And much more subtle stuff that I couldn't disprove. But I was too anxious to do anything about it. I just told my girlfriend, and she comforted me, supported me every time I got my life ruined by these people. But I kept going, though they kept finding me. Fast forward to this week. I currently hold a part-time position at a bakery. I've been working there for 2.5 months. It's going okay, but then my manager approached me about something regarding our Google reviews. Someone was complaining about an employee, and their description of them could only really fit me. It was on a day where we're pretty short of staff, so I could have been the only person in the store on that day for all I know. Anyway, their review contained some pretty elaborate and nasty comments about me. This has happened on 1 or 2 of my jobs already. I told my manager that it was all pretty bogus and that someone had a vendetta against me, as it has happened before. She believed me and told me that she'll dismiss the comment. On my break, I checked out the review myself. Their username was kinda stupid. I'm not gonna type it out here since I still work there, but I'll just call them Mick Myrtle, as it was in the same range of sounds kinda fake but not really. Anyway, I come home but don't tell Janice about it. She has heard it all before, so I didn't see the point in complaining about another time I almost lost my position. We chat, all is well, and she leaves the room. Her phone is on the table, and suddenly, she gets a notification or an email of some sort from Google. I don't remember what it said exactly, but the pop-up reads something along the lines of, Mick Myrtle, manager has responded to your review. My heart dropped. I've been trying to ignore it since, and this was 2 days ago. It just fit in the picture of bad reviews. It fit in the picture of the phone complaints my workplaces have received about me in the past. It fits in the picture of all the sketchy things I've been fired for. Why would she do that though? I'm looking for an explanation. This literally can't be. She's the only thing keeping me sane. I don't know what to do. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Please, for the love of God, do not stay with that woman. She is sick. Who does that to someone they love? Someone insecure and twisted enough to try to destroy their partner's self-esteem, to make the partner dependent on them. These were my thoughts. OP, your girlfriend wants you to depend on her so she can control you and your life. Please leave immediately and gather all the written evidence or so against her. She may even try to get to you after you leave, so it's going to save you some trouble while convincing people of her craziness. Honestly, I dumped my ex-girlfriend because she was awful towards me, and she kind of did the same thing, and she literally mistreated me, offended my family, etc. I broke up with her. She still hasn't given up, and I'm getting stalked and have received threats, and most of them have been on the phone. One day I received an email that my email was spoofed, and she used some app. The app sent me a notification on my email that someone has used my emails to send fake emails using my email address, and told the real sender's email address, and it was my ex-girlfriend. What I would recommend is to find a way to make her dump you. Otherwise, it won't get any better. This is extreme manipulation and abuse. I feel sick to my stomach thinking about you having gone through this for years, losing job after job, and being devastated and confused. The worst is you confiding in her, and her knowing exactly what she did to you. I really don't understand how anyone can do this to someone they love. Please, OP, for your sake, you need to leave this relationship. I read all the other posts and would advise you to get evidence against her so you can sue her at an appropriate time for loss of income, defamation, and so on. Inform your manager about this. When they get complaints by phone, have them record the conversation, take down the time and phone number, etc. Install monitoring software on your laptop to secretly log who uses your laptop, webcam, and what they do or post. Get legal advice and tell them that the abusive behavior is still ongoing and you are in the process of getting evidence. Buy a second phone and store it outside the house. Use this for contact with legal advice, private investigation, and any communication you don't want her to know. When you have enough evidence, change your passwords and tell her you have been hacked, so you decided to change your passwords and tell her to do the same. It depends on you what to eventually do. If you have enough evidence, you can either sue or confront and go to therapy together. Please listen to this person. Don't feel guilty about it either. What she has been doing is illegal, and you deserve to get compensated. If you don't do this, she gets away scot-free. That means she won't be punished, and she will continue to do this to the next guy. She is a Karen, and she should actually go to jail for this. Please don't let her get away with this. And now for the update. Hello people who are still invested. I'm sorry for not updating you guys earlier. A lot has been going on. First of all, yes, we broke up. That's why I'll be referring to her as my ex from now on. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. On the Monday of the following week, I couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. I told my ex I needed her booking account to book a train ticket to visit my dad for a few days. She complied, and when she was in the shower getting ready for work, I booked my ticket and started looking through her emails. After some digging, I found an email to herself which contained a spreadsheet file. I sent the file to myself, printed it out, and took a screenshot. Why? The spreadsheet contained about every single information about me that there was. Numbers, emails, passwords, work times, colleagues, their numbers and social medias, as well as some emails and passwords that she used for accounts to ruin my life with. Everything was on there, conveniently sorted for her to ruin my life as efficiently as possible. When she left for work, I decided it would be best to immediately pack my stuff. Nothing that mattered would be left behind. I felt like a wanted man, like I was being hunted despite nothing being seemingly out of place. I called my boss, told her I would be taking some time off from work, and headed out to see my dad. Needless to say, he was the sanity I needed. I cried about everything I saw. I panicked for a whole 2 days straight about how my life was ruined, and I didn't know what to do. He had to sleep on the couch in the guest room because I was so scared of my ex coming in. He handled it like a champ. I love you, Dad. He called the police, a lawyer, and most recently a therapist for me because I was in the most horrible state of my entire life. We're currently sorting out the legal stuff. I haven't talked to my ex except for letting her know it was over and that she's a sick psychopath. My dad handled the rest. I changed all my passwords and I'm now looking for a place to live. Bro, that's so nuts. Why are people so goddamn twisted? I am just glad you are safe. Thank God for good family. Now you can pursue the success you are entitled to through your hard work. Curious, did Ms. Psycho have any sort of excuse or explanation for her diabolical behavior? She did, but I have yet to check the abundance of messages she left for me. I don't know if I ever will. That is totally understandable. I imagine it's a bunch of delusional self-serving horse manure. She needs help, like professional help. I don't think she needs help. I think she needs to be placed in the nut house for the rest of her life. What the heck was she thinking? What was her explanation? I need closure here. I can see 2 scenarios, though I'm sure there are more. 1. She wants OP to be isolated and dependent on her. The age difference isn't huge, but it's a little unusual, and I could see that playing into it. 2. She's trying, in a completely delusional way, to help OP. These are all minimum wage, entry jobs, and maybe she thinks if he keep getting fired, he'll try for something more suitable, as in better paying, higher status. I dunno. Either way, this is highly screwed. Standard abuse, we just don't normally hear it from a man who's been mistreated by a woman. Happens all the time, it just doesn't get talked about as much. What a sick woman. I hope she rots. Nah, anyone needing an Excel sheet for something like this is about 5 degrees above standard and working at psychopath levels. Very correct move to just take his stuff and leave. I'm all about communication regarding relationship problems, but I'm thinking a confrontation here could have gone very wrong. Yes, you confront about a wrong when you don't think that your safety is at stake, but this woman was creeping into Annie Wilkes territory. Don't confront someone if your safety is at stake. But also, in general, don't confront someone if they've done something heinous and there's nothing to be gained from it. And there wasn't. There was nothing she could say that would have made it okay. Nothing that could make it forgivable. Nothing that would have given OP catharsis and closure. And nothing she would learn from it to grow as a person. Sometimes you just have to know when there's no point in the conversation, and it's better to leave a note and cut and run. Now for the last story. Update, I disown my son. Original post. Not even sorry about it, and I don't need advice on him or his situation, but the complete fallout that has happened with the family. I will try to be as clear on everything as possible. I 42 female, have a son 22 male, and he has a girlfriend 21 female. I wasn't super close with her as we didn't have a lot in common, but I liked her as a person and welcomed her into the family. They had been together for just over a year. Over the past 6-ish months, I had noticed a change in her behavior. Her and my son usually came over at least every 2 weeks for a family dinner. I knew they were having some money problems and financial stress, so I chalked it up to that. They came over last Christmas for dinner, along with about 7 other close family. She was quiet the whole dinner. Afterwards, I was catching up on some dishes and cleanup, prepping desserts, and she joined me in the kitchen and asked if I needed help. I gladly let her come in to help me with the pies. She seemed skittish, so I asked her if she was okay. She looked at me like a deer in headlights and then started crying. I thought it was about money. When finances are tight, the holidays can be hard. I pulled her in for a hug and told her if they needed help, they just had to ask, and asked her if there was anything I can do. After a few minutes of sobbing, she was able to stop and she just blurted it all out. My son was mistreating her. She showed me the bruises on her arm from him grabbing her, told me how she couldn't talk to her family without him present, told me about how he controlled all of her money and had her move in with him and made him the main holder on her bank account. She cried and said he wouldn't even let her buy tampons and told her rolled up toilet paper was enough. There was so much more to it. I stood there in shock as she told me all of this and more. Finally, she stopped and took a deep breath. I don't know how to get out. I'm scared. I wanted to kick him out of my house then and there, but having been mistreated by my son's dad, I knew that would make things worse for her. I told her, go out there and act normal. Don't say anything. Keep your head down and do what he says. I told her I'd get her out as safely and soon as possible. It took a few days, but we did just that. She is staying with me while we get everything, like her bank account, which he has almost emptied, and living situation sorted. I also told my son he is no longer welcome in my home, and he is no longer my son. Maybe it was an extreme reaction, but I'm not asking if I'm wrong here. I would do what I did over and over again. The issue is, what little family I do have, on my son and on my son's dad's side, are outraged that I'd choose her over him. Damn right I did, and I'll do it again. How on earth can I get these people to see my son for who he is, and be able to repair and maintain relationships with my family without allowing my son in my life again? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Tell them if they keep it up, you'll help her get your son charged and a criminal record too. This obviously was a learned behavior from his dad. I wouldn't expect his dad or that side of the family to stand up for her. I have asked her if she wanted to go to the police, and she has been hesitant. The bank told us that there is a way to get some of her savings back that he took, but it requires police action and criminal charges and all that. She is still sitting on that decision. Hey, I'm not for a minute gonna push judgment on you one bit. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for saving this poor girl. It might feel like you failed as a parent possibly, but honestly sometimes apples spoil. When I told my mother I was being mistreated by my ex, she only asked me, what did you do to anger him? You should behave better and he will stop. I have no words to express my gratitude for you stepping up to the plate and fighting for her like this. So thank you for listening to her and believing her. It means more than you will ever know. We cannot save everybody, even our own children, but we can do what is right, which is what you did. To hell with everyone else who doesn't understand that. How you were treated was similar to how I was treated when I was mistreated as an adult. He was very good at gaslighting and triggering reactive abuse, making me out like the bad guy. I'm huge on breaking the cycle, and every parenting decision I made took breaking the cycle into account. Now for the update. My last post blew up, which I wasn't expecting. They got locked fairly quickly because of karma and comment limit, and I got a lot of supportive messages from people. As long as the mods allow this post, I thought I'd do an update. It has been just over 2 weeks at this point and she is doing well as anyone in her situation. She has been slow to take care of things. Some days all she can do is lay in bed. I know how she feels, so I indulge her in that regard and try to support her to take care of at least one thing a day. I have her making a daily to-do list and put on it even the simplest of things, like update resume and take a shower, because crossing something off a list can feel fulfilling. Her ex, my son, showed up at her work. Her work was not very understanding of her situation, and she went home early that day and then put in her letter of resignation. She is college educated and has been working on finding another job and dabbling in the idea of going back to school for another degree. She is still living with me. That likely is already obvious from what I have said so far. I told her she is welcome to stay with me as long as she needs. I was once a struggling single mom, but once I got my master's, things were better financially. I know what it is like to struggle and barely get by. I don't want that for my kids, and they are always welcome to stay with me rent-free. When she is ready, I told her I would help her in finding a place of her own. She did end up filing a police report, simply to have the paperwork to be able to get her bank account fixed, and possibly some of the money returned that he drained. This isn't guaranteed and can take a long time, possibly have to go to civil court for it. As I knew it would be, the report was frustrating. Like they always do, the police basically told her or us that there wasn't anything they can do about it at the moment, and that there has to be a pattern of behavior to prove that she needs a personal protection order. Tomorrow we go to the court to file paperwork for a restraining order as long as they accept it. As for his family and mine that were bashing me for being a bad mom and abandoning my son, they got a reality check. My son snapped at one point and went on social media, completely verbally bashing me and her. Some of the things he said, it was horrible. He was calling me the C word, and her name's one calls a lady of the night. Talking about how he knows better than a woman does and what is good for her, that she is a spoiled brat who needed to be put in her place, and violent threats. Made a bunch of people start to see that side of him. The posts were screenshotted and printed to add to the stack against him. So, there we go. Thank you everyone for the support. We are still fighting this uphill battle, but we are gonna win the war. Edit to add, so like the last post, this is getting brought up again. No, my son did not witness me getting mistreated. I left his father when he was a couple of months old, and his father was not physically harming me. I don't need people to work on his sad villain backstory to rationalize his behavior. He had a good upbringing, with lots of support and love. Not every perpetrator was a victim. You rock. You are one amazing human being. I'm glad his true colors started to show so the others would understand better. I hope he has a harsh reality check and figured out he needs to resume therapy or he is going to end up in prison. My sister was horrible to me and I had to save myself. I wish I had someone like you to help me navigate things. I'm sorry you had your own personal experience with this, and all we can do after stuff like that is come out stronger and smarter, huh? I can't imagine how hard it would be to disown a child. But after his actions, he deserves every bit of karma coming for him. Sending hugs and peace to you both. Obviously this is all a new situation, but I don't see having a relationship with him ever down the road. Perhaps if he got lots of therapy and an evaluation to treat whatever the heck is wrong with him and prove that he 100% changed his ways, maybe. But until then, low priority. He is very upset that I'm no longer paying his student loans, which I think was the trigger for his social media outburst. Doing the right thing is very hard. I appreciate you standing your ground and supporting her through it all. I can't imagine how traumatic it would be if circumstances led to her being tossed out of the house with nowhere to go and nobody to turn to. Your last sentence is exactly what happens in many cases of DV, and so often why victims return to the relationship. So much more if there is financial abuse.